Hello there, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 228. And this time out, we are at Franklin Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for game number 14, the final game of the season of the 1968 Minnesota Vikings Project, using momentum football from Downey Games. It's a bit unfortunate that it's January that I'm playing this game and not last month, December, because as you may have noticed from the episode thumbnail and the intro, that this game, which was played on December 15th, 1968, was the famous, well, rather infamous Santa incident game where the Philadelphia Eagles fans started pelting this poor guy who was pulled out of the crowd because he was wearing a Santa suit when the hired Santa Claus couldn't make it to the game. This poor guy was pulled out of the stands to act as Santa Claus at halftime, and the home crowd rewarded him by pelting him with snowballs. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about it. You can check it out. But that day, you know, the Eagles fans cemented their reputation as one of the most passionate yet unforgiving and quite honestly, short-term memory fans in the NFL. So in this game, the Eagles come into this with a 2-11 record, which may be part of the reason why Santa Claus got pelted. Vikings in their replay record are 5-6-2. So let's take a quick look at the standings for the Vikings, or not the standings, the schedule. If they happen to win this one, they could finish 500. Which would place them very close to their in real life record if you take away the two ties and make them a win, or make them wins. Anyway, if they win this one, they would finish 6-6-2. Now, before we get to the game, take a quick look at the stats. The big thing that stands out: Gene Washington, 14 touchdowns, 956 yards receiving. So he does have the potential to go over 1,000 yards this season. Probably won't know that until I compile stats, unless he has a big gain, which would be the only way we'd see his yardage, or any kind of big yardage, I should say, on a particular play. Otherwise, it won't show up until I compile stats, which would be after the game. So here we go. Let's get this started. Okay, so the Eagles start out with a -1 at home for momentum. We're going to roll for the first possession. I'm going to say the Eagles a white die. Vikings, the blue die. Team with the momentum gets the tie, and that would be the Vikings. So Minnesota's going to get the ball first. And let's see. Vikings can't return a kickoff, so we take one off the clock, and we roll for first possession. And we're going to get 4 off the clock on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, before I go any further, I should mention I did the prerequisite rolls to determine the starting quarterbacks, and in this case for Minnesota and Philadelphia, the punters. Joe Cap gets the start for Minnesota at quarterback, and King Hill the punting duties for the for the Eagles. Norm Snead starts at quarterback, and Sam Baker gets the punting duties. Philadelphia does have an opportunity to return a kickoff and a punt for a touchdown. The Vikings only a punt. Excuse me. All right, so 4 off the clock. And, before I go any further again, defense control factors have been determined for both teams. All right, so 4 off the clock, which I've done. And we got a 4, which does fall within the Eagles' defensive control. So we look at their defense on a 22, and that's a punt. Oh, what time? Sorry about that. 2, 4, 6, 8. That'd be 13:28. And let's see. Sam Baker. There is a possibility for a block. Well, let's see if the punt's returned anyway. And yes, it is. So gets the punt off. There's going to be a return. Or excuse me, not Sam Baker, but King Hill. There was a return. All right, timeout. Let's take a deep breath and get this restarted. All right, King Hill doing the punting for Minnesota. Chance of a return for a touchdown for the Eagles. It doesn't happen. So they just take over possession. Here in the first quarter, no score. 6-1 for 7 off the clock. And we have a 7. That goes by momentum. Momentum is in favor of the Vikings. 21 off the Vikings. Defense control is an interception. Once again, I'm forgetting to get the time. So we got 7, 9, 10. At 11:10, going to have an INT for Minnesota. Let's see if that's returned for a touchdown. It is not. And the interception is once again Paul Krause. I believe that's 12 for him now. Future Hall of Famer. All right, so that's going to shift momentum. +2 for the Vikings. And they take over possession. Got a 4 and a 2 for 6. We got 6, 8, 10. That'd be 9 minutes and 10 seconds. We get a 6, thus fall within defensive control. We look at the Eagles' defensive control, and it's a punt result again with another 22. So we'll roll to see if there is a return on this punt. King Hill. And yes, there is. So now we'll roll for the return for the Eagles. And there's no return for a touchdown. Eagles possession here in the first quarter, still scoreless. We get a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. 5 does fall within Minnesota's defensive control. And a 64 is a touchdown pass. 10, 11, 15. 6:55. Norm Snead. Touchdown pass, 2. Gary Ballman. So Snead to Ballman, and the Eagles take a 6-0 lead. Sam Baker at the extra point, and it's good. So it's 7-0 Eagles. That shifts momentum once towards neutral. 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And the Vikings take over, trailing by a touchdown. All right, we get a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. So 12, 13, 15. Be 4 minutes and 15 seconds here in the first quarter. Get a 12. That does not fall within Philadelphia's defensive control, so we're going to look at 11 on the Vikings chart, and that's a fumble. Things not going right for Minnesota here early on. No chance for a touchdown return for the Eagles, but that does shift momentum back to neutral. Actually, to neutral for the first time in this game, and the Eagles take over with the next possession. Okay, we got a 5 and a 1 for 6. Off the clock. 9, 10, 11. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. We get a 6, does fall within, that was a 4. It does fall within the Vikings' defensive control. And a 41 is going to be a punt. First, we'll check to see if Baker's punt is returned. It is. And we do have a slight chance for a return for a touchdown, but that's not going to happen. All right, so Vikings take over. Still in the first quarter, they trail 7-0. We have 5 and a 1 for 6 off the clock. It's going to be 9, 10, 13. So 13 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Have a 4. That does fall within Philadelphia's defensive control. And a 45 is a field goal attempt for Fred Cox. All right, so Cox will make this field goal on an 11-46. It is no good. And the score remains Philadelphia 7-0, and that gives the Eagles a slight momentum advantage. So this possession is going to be in the second quarter. 6 and a 5 for 11 off the clock, a long drive. So we got 12, 17, 22. 11:42 in the second. We get a 10, which does fall within Minnesota's defensive control, and a 66, excuse me, is another Norm Snead touchdown pass. And that one's going to be to Ben Hawkins. Things not going well for Minnesota here. They're going to be down 14-0 as long as this extra point is good, and it is blocked, so no good. And it's 13-0 Eagles. Next possession for the Vikings, 1 off the clock for the kickoff, and they need to get some points here before halftime. So we get 6 and 1 is 7. 12, 13, 17, 8:57. In the second, get a 12. That does not fall within Philly's defensive control, so we look at a 14 on the Vikings offense, and that is a Joe Cap interception. Maybe Santa Claus won't get pelted at halftime in this replay. All right, Joe Cap interception. No chance for a touchdown return, but let's see who got the INT, and that is Nate Ramsey. So Cap intercepted by Ramsey. And the momentum is now +2 for the Eagles. And they can put more points on the board before halftime. A lot of time left here in the first half. We got a 5 and a 1 for 6 off the clock. Okay, we get a 3. Does fall within the Vikings' defensive control. And a 45 is a punt. It's 9, 11, 12, 6:52. It's a punt. Roll to see if it's returned. Sam Baker. 24. Here's no return on the punt. All right, so the Vikings take over, trying to get some points on the board before halftime here. Got a 5 and a 2 for 7 off the clock. Seven, 9, 11, 431. And let's see, we got 4. Does fall within Philadelphia's defensive control. And a 52 is another Fred Cox field goal attempt. Cox is 0 for 1 in this game. And this time the kick is up and it's good. We got 6 plus 4 is 10 plus 17. Or excuse me, 3 times 2 is 6 plus 4 is 10 plus 17. It's a 37-yard field goal. Vikings are on the board, and it's 13-3. That does not shift momentum because they did not take the lead. All right, next possession for Philadelphia. About 4 minutes or so until halftime. We got a 5 and a 4 for 9 off the clock. We got 10, 14, 17, 137. Let's see, we got a 7. That's going to go with momentum and a 55. So we're going to read a 55 off the Eagles' offensive chart. And that's a field goal attempt. All right, so Sam Baker out for the field goal. Snap, set, hold, kick, up, and good. And it is 16 plus 6 is 22. Plus 17 is 39. And it's a 39 field goal, or 39-yard field goal for Baker. And the Eagles increased their lead 13-6. Got a little bit of time left here before half. Take 1 off the clock for the kickoff. Next possession for the Vikings. You get a 6 and a 1 for 7. And it's going to be the end of the half. All right, so the Vikings manage a field goal in the second quarter. And the Eagles score 9 points and have a 16-3 lead. At halftime, they're going to get the ball to start the second half. Let's see, they do have a opportunity for a touchdown. But it's not going to happen here, so we just take 1 off the clock. And their first possession will roll for it. Get a 5 and a 2 for 7 off the clock. Nine, 11, 15, 12:35 in the third. Get a 9. Does not fall within Minnesota's defensive control. We get a 24 off of the Eagles' offensive chart, and it's another interception for Norm Snead. 2 touchdowns and now 2 interceptions for Snead. And let's see if this is brought back. It's not, but it's intercepted by Ed Shirachman. That'll be number 6 for Shirachman this season. And that shifts momentum. 1 mark towards the Vikings, and they take over possession here early in the third. See if they can't capitalize on that Got a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. And we have a 9. That does not fall within Philadelphia's defensive control. And a 15. Well, let's get the time. 9, 10, 15 here. And that would be a 10-15 in the third. And our number to read is a 15. And that is another Joe Cap INT. And getting that interception for the Eagles is Harold Wells. And that shifts momentum back to +2 for the Eagles. And here they go with their next possession. A 5 and a 1 for 6 off the clock. A 3 does fall within the Vikings' defensive control. And got a 35 off of their 10, 11. First, let me get the time at 8:11. 35 off of the Vikings' defensive control as a punt. Roll to see if there's a return. Sam Baker's punt. 56. There is a return. Charlie West run this back for a touchdown? No. But it is the Vikings ball, still in the third quarter, trailing 16-3. Let's see, we have a 4 and a 3 for 7 off the clock. $12, 15, 5:55 in the third quarter. Got an 8. Does not fall within Philadelphia's defensive control. So a 34 off the Vikings offense is a punt. King Hill, let's see if there's a return. There is not. All right, so Eagles take over. We get a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. I guess maybe Santa Claus didn't get pelted at halftime. The Eagles were winning. Okay, 7 off the clock, 8, 9, 10. And it's going to be 3:30 in the third. And what do we have? We have a 7. That goes to the team with the momentum, which is the Eagles. We read off their offensive chart. 21 is another interception for Norm Snead. Let's see who got that one. Got a 16. And that is going to be Paul Krause. His second interception in this game. And I believe 13th of the year. All right, no chance for a return, but it does shift momentum. Let's see if the Vikings offense can take advantage of this. Got a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. We got 10, 13. 1 minute and 13 seconds in the third. We have a 5. That does fall within the Eagles' defensive control. And a 62. It's going to be a Joe Cap touchdown pass. And let's see who that passes to. Got a 32. And that is to Gene Washington, number 15 for Washington, I believe. But because the blue and yellow were not doubles, we don't look off of the long yardage chart, or the long yardage calculation rather, and it's a 7-yard touchdown. Extra point from Cox is good. And it's now 16-10 in favor of the Eagles, and momentum shifts to neutral. Philadelphia's next possession. Let's see if that's returned for a touchdown. Almost an opportunity. But it's not, so we just take 1 off the clock for the kickoff. And roll for the Eagles possession. We got a 6 and a 2 for 8 off the clock. It's going to take us into the fourth quarter. Let's see, 8, 11, 14, a 13, 14 in the fourth. Let's see, we have a 5. That does fall within the Vikings' defensive control. And a 36 off the Vikings' defensive chart is a punt. Let's see if it's returnable. Sam Baker kicks. And no return. So the Vikings take over, trailing by 6 points early in the fourth quarter. See what they can do here. Okay, we got a 6 and a 1 for 7 off the clock. And 8, 12, 10:52 in the fourth quarter. And we have a 7. That is momentum. Momentum is 0, so it goes to the home team. So we'd be looking at a 14 off the Eagles' defensive control. And guess what? It is another Joe Cap interception. I'm wondering if Bud Grant should pull him here. But you know what? We're going to let him in the game. All right, let's see who had the INT. No chance for a return for the Eagles, but it's going to be Nate Ramsey. Is that his second? Yep, that's the second one for Ramsey in this game. And that shifts momentum back to a +1 for the Eagles. And their next possession. We got a 6 and a 2 for 8. Let's see, we got 9, 11, 14, 8 minutes and 14 seconds left in the game. Got a 9. Does not fall within Minnesota's defensive control, so a 32 off of the Eagles' offensive chart is a punt. See if there's a return. Baker's kick is a 21. And there's no return. So the Vikings take over. About halfway through the fourth quarter, trailing by 6. All right, so we got a 6 and a 3 for 9 off the clock. And we got 10, 16, 19. So at 5:19 in the fourth. Let's see, we have a 10. And a 10 does fall within, or excuse me, it does not fall within the Eagles' defensive control. So we look at a 63 off the Vikings' offensive chart, and it's a Joe Cap touchdown pass. You thought I was going to say interception, didn't you? All right, so it's a touchdown pass for Cap. And let's see who makes this catch. 56, and it's doubles. Okay, so this is something we don't see too often. So 56 receiving for the Vikings is Bill Brown. Running back Bill Brown. Brown gets the touchdown pass. So now we're going to look off Brown's long gain. Let's see. Brown is times 4 plus 9. So 22 is 4. So 4 times 4 is 16 plus 9 is 25. So it's a 25-yard touchdown pass. And let's see the Cox extra point. Is good. And the Vikings take a 1-point lead, 17-16. I didn't mark down the third quarter. Vikings had a touchdown pass in the third quarter to make it 16-10. Eagles didn't score. All right, so that shifts momentum back to neutral. And the Eagles get the ball. Now trailing by a point. Now they're starting to pack snowballs again. All right, here we go. 5 and a 1 for 6 off the clock. Let's see. We got a 10. 10 does fall within Minnesota's defensive control. And we have a 31 coming off the Vikings defense. Well, let me get the timing down here. 10, 13, 14. 3 minutes and 14 seconds left. And we got a quarterback sack. Vikings record their first sack of the game. Defense comes up big. And it's a 4-yard loss. And so that means, let's see, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. I think the Eagles are going to go for it, even though they were sacked. You double check the availability of that. Okay, no, it has to be, the result has to be a punt or a field goal for them to go for it on 4th down. But the result being a quarterback sack, they have to punt. All right, so we'll see if the punt's returned. And Baker's return, no. So the Vikings just take over. And that quarterback sack changes momentum. +1 for Minnesota. See if they can't run the clock out here or eat up a lot of it and get their 6th win. Maybe not. 6 off the clock. We got a 7, or excuse me, a 6. And that does fall within the Eagles' defensive control. And a 13 off the Eagles' defense is, well, let's get the time. 5, 6, 7, 10. At 1 minute and 10 seconds, we have another Joe Cap, INT. Let's see who intercepted it for the Eagles. 65. Floyd Peters. So the interception by Peters is going to give the Eagles a chance to win this one. Momentum shifts back to neutral. And with about a minute to go, this is going to be the final possession of the game. Let's see what happens here. We have 4 and 1 for 5 off the clock. Now let's see. Use the results of the lowest 2 dice when using hurry-up offense, which we're going to say the Eagles did. They're going to use a hurry-up offense here. Red die is reduced by 1, so determining the amount of time used by the drive, use the result of the lowest 2 die. So that's 2. 1, 2. Going to get 8, 9, 10. 30 seconds to go in the game because they're using the hurry-up offense. Now, the other part of that rule is that the red die gets reduced by 1 digit. So that's going to be a 3. So we have to remember that. 5 on the defensive control factor does fall within Minnesota's defensive control. And that makes that a 31. And a 31 off the Vikings defense is they're going to get to Norm Snead again for a quarterback sack. And time is going to run out. End of game. And the snowballs are packed and ready because the final score is the Vikings 17 and the Eagles 16. Got a touchdown from the Vikings in the fourth quarter. Eagles were shut out. Final to 17-16. So this replay season wasn't a complete failure because the Vikings finished 500. And I'm curious to see if Gene Washington breaks 1,000 yards. I won't know that because his touchdown pass, or his touchdown reception, was only 7 yards. So that's not enough to make that determination. But once I calculate the statistics, it's possible he will go over 100. We'll have to see. And I'll do a wrap and my final thoughts on this game. I'll do another video down the road to close out this project. Had a lot of fun playing it. It's a very interesting game. I think it's pretty realistic in how it works. But I'll talk more about that when I do my season and project wrap. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you hung out with me this afternoon, I appreciate it. And I'll see you again sometime in the near future with another video. And until then, take care.